Hi, I'm Michael, Hestan's Cookware Concierge, and I'm here to deal with one of the most difficult topics that comes up all the time. How do I clean my cookware? I'm going to cover all the lines and how that works and what we're going to do with each one. Most of the cleaning you're going to need to be done, or do, is going to be done with a Scotch-Brite sponge and a good detergent. I happen to like Dawn because it degreases very well. You can go a little bit more aggressive on the sponge than this, particularly with NanoBond. So this is a Scotch-Brite and that's a good surface, but NanoBond can actually handle industrial strength nylon. So you can go all the way up to, for example, in Scotch-Brite, there's the green sponge with the green bottom with the yellow top. Very aggressive, not going to hurt NanoBond at all. I don't think that I would probably recommend that for ProBond or any of the other pans. However, this is not a problem at all. And as I said, the combination of these two are going to basically clean your pans. The next step up from that, again, staying with NanoBond now, would be to go to needing to use Barkeeper's Friend. I do recommend using the powdered version, not the liquid version. Just go ahead and get the powdered version. It allows you to make your own paste. It's easier to control and does a better job. And the reason I would do that is in case I had some gristle or things that were left behind from cleaning it with the Dawn detergent, in case that didn't come out. Now, the next level is to prove how incredibly industrial or how strong the NanoBond surface is and resistant to cleaning issues. You can go all the way up to what I call Code Red. It's to use a Brillo pad in conjunction with the Barkeeper's Friend. When would you use this? This is the case of where you've really messed up. You've burned something into the pan and you think, oh my God, it's gone. I had a chef 2 weeks ago, and as a matter of fact, just called me up. 30 years the man's been cooking. He's had this happen a couple times. He says, Michael, I need to order a new NanoBond pan from you. And I said, why? He said, I was reducing some sugar water to start a caramel sauce, and I completely forgot about it, and it burned black. He sent me a picture of it. Yeah, it was black. You did not even see the NanoBond anymore. And he said, just let me order a new one. I said, no, you don't need to. And I told him about Code Red. So go ahead and grab the two. He said, all right, I'll try it. Next morning he calls me. He was like giddy. He said, I don't believe this. In 30 years of cooking with these things, with pans, this was a goner. And here it is. It's brand new. I mean, the pan's perfect. I'm 7.5 years now of talking about NanoBond. I have a perfect record, knock wood, going of not having anybody, of having everybody be able to recover the pan. That's part of one of the most important aspects of NanoBond and why I recommend it so highly, because you can't screw it up. So if you're a beginning chef to an advanced chef to somebody who is maybe not so adept in the kitchen, who is not the one who primarily uses the cookware, NanoBond will save you. But enough about that. Okay. One other aspect you need to know about NanoBond, though, specifically in the cleaning area, is the possibility of seeing a blue film, or what you think is a blue film, left behind on your NanoBond after having cleaned it with the detergent and dried it. And what that is it's more of a heat tarnish. It can occur in the inside of the pan or the outside of the pan. And if you want to remove it, you've got two ways, well, actually 3 ways to go about removing it. The first way is you can use our Hestan cleaner. A little bit on a paper towel, preferably dry. You don't need to wet anything up. Just use it dry. A dry towel, put this on it, and a dry pan, and just start wiping it around, polishing it out, inside and out, and then rinse it off in the sink. And it'll be gone, dry the pan off, and it's going to have like a car polish surface to it. It's fantastic. You do not need to think of it, though, in the sense of something that restores the pan. There is no restoring going on. It's just helping to remove that heat tarnish. There are 2 other ways to remove the heat tarnish, though, in case you either don't have this in your home or you ran out. You can still use the Barkeeper's Friend. It's capable of removing that. Again, just a little bit in the pan. In this point, you would get your Scotch-Brite sponge, wipe it around, go for it, and it's going to be all gone for you. If you are in a family where you're really concerned about the chemicals use that are going on in your household, and I get a lot of people asking about that, is there an alternative way to removing that tarnish? And the answer is yes, there are. And it's a couple simple ways. One would be to use something as simple as distilled vinegar. It's the acidity in the vinegar that gets it done. And as you know, obviously, a lemon is acidic. So it too will do it. A common thing is it's like a built-in scrub brush anyway. Just cut the lemon in half, get a hold of it, and just start wiping it down. It too will take care of that tarnish. So that covers all aspects of how you would go about cleaning your NanoBond. I also want to stress one thing with NanoBond, which is you can't hurt it. I've had people call me up, and I found out basically in trying to suss out why they're not getting it clean, they were just afraid to rub it too hard. They're so used to other kinds of surfaces to pans that you got to be very careful with. Like you do with a regular traditional nonstick pan, you do need to be careful with that. You can't go scrubbing on that as much, which I'll cover too in a minute. But with NanoBond, there's no issue. Okay, so we've covered all of NanoBond. Next, we're going to go into ProBond. ProBond is straight up stainless steel. So in that context, it has those pores that I've been always talking to you guys about. And it will trap oils, it will trap grease, it will do all of those sorts of things, and it's a little bit softer. So you do need to be a little bit more careful. I probably wouldn't go beyond the Scotch-Brite sponge, maybe the blue level. You could use the harsher green level or with the yellow top if you want. It will create some swirl marks. Over time, because it's a brushed metal anyway, they'll blend in. But if you're concerned about that, you might not want to do that. Make sure you keep your ProBond clean as you use it. Don't get lazy and say, okay, well, it's pretty clean. I know it's clean, but I see some brown in there. I'm going to go ahead and cook with it again. What you're doing is you're actually baking in that oil that's there that you see. It's better to get rid of it as soon as you can. You can have pans look great 20 years later as long as you maintain them that way, okay? That's a wonderful aspect to it. And in that world, you can still, like I said before, detergent, sponge, you're good to go. Barkeeper's friend, you're good to go. That's all excellent stuff with it. I suppose if I did something where I really messed up and I was afraid I burned it up or really made a big mistake with ProBond, I got nothing to lose. I would go ahead and go for the SOS pad and see if it can do that again with the Barkeeper's friend. We also have Thomas Keller commercial Clad cookware. Again, it's identical to the ProBond as far as the stainless steel consideration is. It does, it is going to, so you would do the same things with it. So you would still use your Dawn detergent, your Scotch-Brite sponge, and your Barkeeper's friend with it. Not a problem. CopperBond is a little trickier. It has the stainless steel inside, so everything I just told you about stainless steel would apply to that. It's got the stainless steel base. Again, everything obviously would be the same. The tricky part is the copper. The copper does not want any of these harsh applications. This will start scratching your copper up. So you do need to be a little bit more careful. I would rather see you either use a regular sponge. You can use the dish soap on the copper. That's not a problem for it at all. However, if it is tarnished or has some weird patina going on or whatever you're going to be doing, or if it arrives slightly tarnished due to the sea voyage coming, when it arrives coming from Italy on the boat to Northern California, you are going to need copper polish. That's what's going to be needed to get the pan to pop, to be brand new, looking fantastic again. And it works every time. Here at the barn and at our headquarters, we like to use Wright's copper polish. It's available, in markets. It's very inexpensive, and it works really nicely. It comes with its own little applicator. And the trick to it is, normally one application, meaning just using a sponge and scrubbing it down and then rinsing it off, you're going to be like 90% of the way there. If you want to be super, super thorough, you can keep going until you no longer pull up any black off your pan. When there's no more black, you're gone through everything. And then again, rinse it off with soap. Excuse me, you don't even need soap. You just need to rinse it off with water, dry the pan off. It'll be gorgeous. This is a nonstick pan. Many of you are under the misconception that nonstick pans are the easiest to clean, because you just throw it under the sink, maybe throw some water on it, everything comes out, and you think it's clean. I grab a paper towel and boom, look at that. That's a bit of a fallacy. And what it does is, and the reason I'm saying that is because that many times will leave a very, very thin microfilm level of oil or residue behind in the grooves, if you will, or in the texture of the Titum surface. You don't want that to happen, because what ends up happening is as you use the pan, if that's not gone, that is actually going to bake into the surface. And once it's done that, you are not getting it out again. There are a few tricks you can try to do, one of which would be coming back to the vinegar and pouring about 1 cup of vinegar, maybe 1 cup of water into the pan, putting it on a stovetop and heating it for about 10 minutes, and then coming back and trying to scour it out with a nylon brush. That might break it down and get some of it out, but it's very possible that it won't. And the way you'll know that this has happened is you'll be kind of cooking with this, and you'll suddenly notice after maybe it might just be a few months, depending how improperly you cleaned it. It might be a year. You're going to be going, wow, the pan looks perfect, but for some reason it's not quite as stick resistant as it used to be. That's usually the cause. So do be careful. Do make sure that you do wash this pan out thoroughly. It is dishwasher safe. Again, my admonishment to everybody is to wash all your cookware by hand. The last piece of our line that you need to understand about would be the Provisions cookware. And the Provisions oven bond pieces, the roasting pans, and so forth. We're back to being straight up stainless steel. So everything, again, that I've talked to you about stainless steel would apply here. On the beautiful oven bond pieces, you do have the polished handles. So what I would be very careful about is getting in there with some really strong nylon type sponges or whatever, only because they could leave scratch marks, and it's gorgeous. And normally that will clean up beautifully, again, with just dish soap and this. But if you've got something going on in your pan in your sheet pan or your roasting pan or whatever that requires more effort, then sure, go ahead and get the barkeeper's friend out, go ahead and use the Scotch-Brite sponge and have at it. And again, keep it up, make sure it's clean. So this is a Provisions, obviously it's a quarter sheet pan. Some of you might be cooking or doing some roasting. This is a little trick I do. A lot of times you will have stuff stuck to, you've been roasting veggies or chicken. Chicken's a good one because sometimes it gets caught, the little skin will get caught on the rack. So the easiest thing to do is invert the rack, put it back in the pan, and then fill this up with soap water and let it soak. You can let it soak for about a half an hour if you'd like, and then come back, it comes right off. If you have a nylon brush, it tends to be a little bit easier, but you can still use the Scotch-Brite sponge. It will totally clean the stainless steel rack without any effort whatsoever. If you're real lazy, you can wait and do it the next morning, just leave it overnight. You're not gonna hurt anything by doing that and just let it soak in there, okay? Great trick.